the dendrochronology, if it puts that wood that we got, pretty much have to say, geez, very good chance part of the flood tunnel.
What if I told you that the 230-year-old mystery of Oak Island may finally be entering its most important chapter? After more than 1,000 excavations, over $100 million spent, and generations of failed searches, new reports suggest that Rick Lagina and his team may have uncovered evidence of a mysterious underground chamber beneath the money pit. Recent drilling is said to have detected unusual signals nearly 180 feet below the surface, raising fresh questions about what could be hidden there. While no treasure or secret chamber has been officially confirmed, if these findings are verified through future scientific investigation, they could reshape one of the greatest treasure mysteries in history. So what lies beneath the money pit? A forgotten engineering project, a centuries-old vault, or nothing more than a natural formation that has fooled explorers for generations? In this video, we'll examine every major claim, every new clue, and the scientific evidence behind them, separating verified facts from speculation so you can decide for yourself. Make sure you watch until the very end, because the deeper this investigation goes, the more surprising the story becomes. And if you enjoy high-quality mystery documentaries backed by research and fascinating history, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell icon, and join us for more incredible discoveries. Now, let's uncover the truth behind Oak Island's greatest mystery. The mystery of Oak Island began in 1795 when a small group of young explorers noticed an unusual depression in the ground, surrounded by strange markings. Curious about what they had found, they started digging. As they went deeper, they uncovered layers of wooden platforms placed at different depths, leading many to believe that something valuable had been intentionally buried and carefully protected underground. That single discovery sparked one of history's longest treasure hunts. For more than 230 years, explorers, engineers, historians, and treasure hunters have returned to Oak Island hoping to uncover the truth. Historical records suggest that over 1,000 excavation and drilling projects have been carried out, while more than $100 million has been invested in the search. Massive excavation equipment has been brought in, advanced underground imaging systems have been deployed, and countless attempts have been made to understand the mysterious flood tunnels believed to connect the money pit to the nearby ocean. Yet every breakthrough has been followed by another unexpected obstacle. Time after time, it appeared that the mystery was finally about to be solved. Each promising discovery raised expectations, only for new evidence or fresh complications to send the investigation in an entirely different direction. That is exactly why the money pit remains one of the world's most enduring treasure legends. Some believe an extraordinary treasure has been hidden beneath the island for centuries, while many scientists and historians argue that such claims require clear physical evidence before they can be accepted as fact. Still, one thing cannot be ignored. A mystery does not capture the world's imagination for more than 2 centuries without having an incredible story behind it. Today, Rick Lagina and his team believe that modern technology, combined with more accurate underground data than ever before, may finally provide answers to the questions that have puzzled generations. The new scans that changed the investigation. For nearly 230 years, no one has been able to determine with certainty what lies beneath the money pit. Now, many believe that recent technological advances have brought investigators closer than ever before to understanding what may be hidden underground. Rather than depending mainly on historical maps and old excavation records, Rick Lagina's team introduced new borehole drilling techniques, detailed 3D subsurface imaging, and several advanced geological scanning methods. What initially appeared to be a routine phase of exploration soon became much more significant, as the incoming data revealed something that immediately caught the team's attention. Reports indicate that investigators detected an unusual anomaly approximately 180 feet below the surface. Its characteristics appeared noticeably different from the surrounding natural rock formations. While this was not a direct photograph of an underground structure, it represented the combined interpretation of signals collected through multiple independent scanning systems. Instead of relying on a single source of information, the team carefully compared the new findings with older drill records, borehole data, geological surveys, and updated 3-dimensional models. As more data sets pointed toward the same underground location, excitement inside the war room reportedly grew, The consistency across different sources suggested that the anomaly deserved much closer examination. Experts are said to have reviewed thousands of individual data points, repeating their analysis several times to rule out equipment errors or misleading geological formations. Their preliminary findings suggested that this section of the underground environment displayed a shape unlike the surrounding terrain. Even so, this should not be interpreted as proof that a hidden chamber has been discovered. At this stage, it remains only a geological anomaly that requires additional drilling, core sampling, and independent scientific verification before any firm conclusions can be made. Nevertheless, these new discoveries have dramatically changed the direction of the search. In the past, many drilling locations were selected largely through historical interpretation and educated estimates. Now, investigators have a specific target that is guiding much of their future planning. Because of this, historians, geologists, archaeologists, and treasure hunters alike are watching developments at this location with growing interest. The theory of a hidden chamber. Once news of the latest scan results became public, attention quickly shifted toward one intriguing possibility: a concealed underground chamber. According to several reports, the anomaly detected around 180 feet below the surface displays characteristics that appear different from the surrounding natural rock layers. Early three-dimensional models suggest that this section may form a distinct area rather than blending naturally with the nearby geology. Even so, researchers emphasize that these observations remain preliminary and have not yet been officially confirmed through physical excavation. Some specialists have pointed out that if the anomaly truly represents a separate structure, portions of its outline seem more regular than the irregular fractures commonly produced by natural geological processes. This has led to renewed discussion about whether human activity could have played a role in its formation. However, many geologists continue to urge caution. They stress that underground scans alone cannot determine whether a feature is artificial or natural. Only additional drilling, carefully examined core samples, laboratory analysis, and independent scientific review will be capable of answering that question with confidence. At the same time, another possibility has attracted increasing attention. Some researchers believe that if a chamber does exist beneath a money pit, it could be connected to the underground flood tunnel system that has been discussed for decades. Throughout numerous excavations, investigators have uncovered clues that some interpret as evidence of a complex network of underground passages. Even so, this theory remains the subject of ongoing research and scientific debate. For now, the biggest question remains unanswered. Have these new scans finally identified the most important target in Oak Island's 230-year search? Or is this simply another chapter in a mystery that has repeatedly challenged every attempt to solve it? Only future drilling and scientific investigation will reveal whether this latest discovery marks the beginning of the end, or yet another twist in one of history's greatest unsolved treasure legends. Where did the $410 million estimate come from? So, how did people begin talking about a possible value of $410 million? The answer is important, because this figure is often misunderstood. It is not an official appraisal, and it has never been confirmed by any scientific or government authority. Instead, it is a speculative estimate based on a hypothetical scenario. The idea is that if the suspected underground chamber were ever found to contain a substantial collection of historic treasure, precious metals, or priceless artifacts, the combined value could potentially reach hundreds of millions of dollars. At this point, however, that number remains nothing more than a theoretical estimate. Until something is actually recovered and authenticated, no one can accurately determine what, if anything, is hidden beneath Oak Island. What the drilling actually revealed. Once the latest underground scans highlighted a possible target, the focus immediately shifted from computer models to physical evidence. The only reliable way to understand what lies below the surface is by examining the material brought up through drilling. To investigate the anomaly more closely, Rick Lagina and his team positioned several boreholes around the suspected location. Their objective was straightforward: recover soil, rock, and timber samples from different depths and study them carefully in the laboratory. Every core sample was treated with exceptional care. Each one was sealed, documented, and transported under controlled conditions, because even the smallest fragment could contain information capable of changing the direction of the investigation. According to reports, several cores contained pieces of extremely old wood that appeared different from naturally fallen timber. Preliminary observations suggested the wood may have remained preserved because it had been buried underground for an extended period. Even so, scientists emphasize that laboratory testing is required before determining its actual age or whether it was placed there intentionally. If future analysis eventually demonstrates that the timber formed part of a human-built structure, it could dramatically reshape the long-standing story surrounding the money pit. Investigators also reported finding traces of metal in some of the recovered samples. These indications were not strong enough to prove the presence of buried treasure, but they were significant enough to justify additional study. Researchers began comparing samples from multiple depths to determine whether the signals were caused by naturally occurring minerals or by an object created by human activity. So far, that question remains unanswered. Meanwhile, drilling crews continued facing one of Oak Island's oldest challenges, underground water. As drilling reached greater depths, several boreholes encountered increasing water pressure. This supports the long-discussed theory that underground water channels complicate excavation throughout the money pit area. Because of this, every new borehole served a dual purpose, collecting valuable geological samples while also helping researchers better understand how water moves beneath the island. For that reason, every recovered core has become an important piece of the puzzle. Some contain ancient-looking timber, others reveal traces of metal, while many provide valuable information about the underground geology itself. Even with these discoveries, no sample has officially confirmed the existence of a hidden chamber or buried treasure. Additional drilling, laboratory testing, and independent scientific analysis remain essential before any conclusions can be reached. Emma Culligan's laboratory investigation. Once the drilling phase produced its collection of core samples, the project entered one of its most critical stages: scientific examination. Every rock fragment, every piece of wood, and every tiny metallic particle collected underground only becomes meaningful after careful laboratory analysis. According to reports, Oak Island metal specialist Emma Culligan, along with other experts, began conducting detailed examinations of the recovered materials. One of the primary techniques used during this process was X-ray fluorescence analysis, commonly known as XRF, a method widely used to identify the elemental composition of a sample without destroying it. Rather than analyzing every sample together, investigators first organized them into separate groups based on their drilling locations and depths. Detailed records were created for each specimen before comparisons began. The objective was to determine whether metal concentrations consistently appeared within a particular depth range or whether the detected signals simply reflected naturally occurring minerals found throughout the island. To improve reliability, several samples collected from the same borehole were tested multiple times, reducing the possibility that unusual readings resulted from equipment error or contamination. Reports indicate that a number of samples displayed metallic signatures that attracted the attention of the research team. However, experts stress that these readings should not be interpreted as proof of buried treasure. Small metal traces can occur naturally through geological processes, meaning that XRF results alone cannot establish the presence of valuable artifacts. Only further laboratory work, combined with independent scientific verification, can provide a more complete understanding of what those signals actually represent. There were also reports suggesting that preliminary laboratory findings encouraged the team to concentrate future drilling around the same underground anomaly identified during the scanning phase. As a result, additional boreholes and new core samples are now being directed toward that specific area. Even so, scientists continue repeating the same conclusion. There is still no official confirmation of a hidden chamber, a buried treasure, or a human-made underground structure. That careful scientific approach is one of the reasons the Oak Island investigation continues to attract worldwide attention. Every exciting possibility is weighed against physical evidence, and every claim must survive detailed scientific scrutiny before it can be accepted. The mystery of Oak Island's hidden tunnels. The story of the money pit extends far beyond a single shaft in the ground. For generations, another theory has remained at the center of the mystery, adding an entirely new layer of intrigue to the island's history. It is commonly known as the flood tunnel theory. According to this long-standing idea, anyone attempting to dig toward the money pit would eventually trigger seawater flowing through specially constructed underground passages, flooding the excavation and making further progress nearly impossible. Supporters of the theory point to numerous historical excavations that unexpectedly filled with water, forcing expensive operations to be abandoned before reaching their intended targets. Over time, the discussion has expanded even further. Some researchers believe the underground system may consist of far more than a single water channel. Instead, they suggest that a network of interconnected tunnels could exist beneath Oak Island, potentially linking different underground areas together. If such a system were ever confirmed, it might explain why excavations carried out over the past 2 centuries have repeatedly encountered unexpected flooding and confusing underground conditions. For now, however, this remains a theory rather than an established fact. While various discoveries have kept the idea alive, definitive scientific evidence confirming an extensive tunnel network has yet to be found. That is precisely why every new scan, every drill hole, and every recovered sample continues to be studied so carefully as investigators search for answers beneath one of the world's most enduring treasure mysteries. Could there be a network of hidden tunnels? The mystery may extend far beyond a single underground passage. Based on decades of drilling records, borehole data, and numerous discoveries made throughout the search, some researchers believe that multiple underground tunnels could exist beneath Oak Island. According to this idea, these passages may be interconnected, forming a much larger underground system than previously imagined. So far, however, no complete tunnel network has been officially verified. Even so, the possibility alone has become one of the most intriguing aspects of the entire mystery. One location continues to dominate this discussion: Smith's Cove. Many investigators believe that if the famous flood tunnel theory is correct, seawater may be entering the money pit through this area. During previous expeditions, crews reported finding unusual structures near Smith's Cove that immediately attracted attention. Some researchers have argued that these features appear to have been constructed by humans, while others maintain that the available evidence is still too limited to support such a conclusion. Because of these unanswered questions, Smith's Cove remains one of the most closely studied areas on Oak Island. This raises another important question. If an underground chamber truly exists, what is the safest way to reach it? Rather than digging straight toward the suspected target, Rick Lagina and his team believe that understanding the island's underground water system is essential first. If hidden flood tunnels are actually present, an uncontrolled excavation could once again allow seawater to flood the site, just as many believe happened during earlier attempts. For that reason, the team's mission is no longer focused solely on finding treasure. It is equally dedicated to understanding the entire underground system that may lie hidden beneath the island. The scientific debate continues. As reports of new scans, laboratory findings, and the possible underground anomalies spread, experts from different fields began interpreting the evidence in very different ways. Some archaeologists believe that if the anomaly eventually proves to be a carefully constructed underground feature, it could represent an important historical discovery. They argue that many clues uncovered during more than 2 centuries of exploration deserve to be re-examined using today's advanced technology. Even so, they emphasize that extraordinary claims require physical evidence. Until excavation provides verifiable proof, no theory should be treated as an established fact. Geologists, however, approach the evidence from another perspective. They point out that underground imaging often reveals unusual shapes created entirely by natural geological processes. Layers of rock, shifting sediments, fractures, and mineral formations can sometimes produce patterns that resemble artificial structures even when no human activity is involved. Because of this, they caution against drawing major conclusions from 3D scans or borehole data alone. At the center of the discussion is a simple question. Are investigators looking at the remains of a hidden structure, or are they simply observing an unusual natural formation? Supporters of the treasure theory believe that more than 2 centuries of discoveries point towards something extraordinary beneath the island. Skeptics respond that science cannot rely on assumptions, regardless of how compelling they may seem. Every claim must ultimately be supported by verifiable evidence. That is exactly why every fresh core sample, Every new scan and every drilling result is being examined with such extraordinary care. Many specialists have even suggested that the evidence should undergo independent review. They believe universities, outside geologists, archaeologists, and other scientific institutions should analyze the data separately. If multiple independent teams arrive at similar conclusions, the case for a hidden chamber or another significant discovery would become much stronger. At the moment, though, the final answer remains unknown. What is certain is that Oak Island has once again captured worldwide attention. Everyone is now waiting for the next drilling campaign, new laboratory reports, and independent scientific investigations, hoping they will finally reveal whether the money pit contains a history-changing discovery or simply another fascinating mystery. What could be hidden? Inside the chamber, if a secret chamber really exists beneath the money pit, one question stands above all the others. What could actually be waiting inside? For more than 230 years, that single question has inspired historians, treasure hunters, researchers, and millions of curious people around the world. Every new excavation revives the hope that this might finally be the expedition that uncovers the island's greatest secret. Yet, despite centuries of searching, no definitive answer has ever been found. Some researchers believe that if the chamber was deliberately built by humans, it could contain historically significant artifacts. These possibilities include ancient coins, rare metal objects, ceremonial relics, or valuable items connected to a forgotten expedition or civilization. Is Rick Lagina closer than ever to uncovering Oak Island's greatest secret? Or is the most unexpected twist of this legendary mystery still waiting beneath the ground?